For those who are new to the group, I'm Tom Garrison, and I am the volunteer administrator in Alignable for the SEO for Small Business group. And I've been in business for about 25 years, developing websites, applying SEO. And yes, I'm available to hire as an SEO consultant or web development, along with Arthur, who should be here by now, I think. Yep, he is. Arthur Moorhead's just signing in. So if you need him, he is a whiz with Elementor. So if you're having trouble with Elementor, he's the guy to look for. And since we're streaming these days, everybody on Zoom say hi to those that are crickets over there in YouTube. And there's Michael. Been seeing you around for a while, Michael. My goal in these meetings for everybody who's new is to not teach you everything about SEO because there's just too much. But I want to teach you the parts that mean something to you, the parts that help you with whatever that you're trying to accomplish with your website. Obviously, you're trying to get more traffic to your site. More traffic means more business. And as I state in every meeting just about these days, SEO is an experiment. So for the new people, the reason that we say that is because there are no steps that say this step is going to work to get you on page one. Because every page of your site is different. That means that every page on every website is different, the way that you apply the SEO. So you have to go through and see, this should work. You do that and you go, well, it didn't really work. If it pulled it back behind, then you know, well, I went the wrong way. If it just kind of stayed the same, well, then you got to work on something else. So it's an experiment as far as that goes. There are basics. And these meta tags that we're going to talk about today are part of the basics that you need. Do you have to know what a meta tag is specifically? No, it's just that thingy that's got some code and then you write some text in there. That's all you need to know. Does anybody know why you need to put the text in the meta tags? Any hands? Reaction hands? Michael, go ahead. Let me get you. You should be able to unmute now. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't have the text in the meta tag to tell, if it's a description or whatever the meta tag is for, Google doesn't know how to respond.
Correct. And like Melissa says, so Google knows how to display your website in search results. Yes, the meta tags are used, and you have several. You also have the title tag, which is part of the code in the page. Most of the systems that you use, platforms, WordPress, Joomla, whatever, they'll pick up the title from the title in the page that you made. So that's part of an important process. So when you're making a title for a page, think about what's that page about. Try to work in that keyword to the title of your page. You need to make sure that you do the research on all of your keywords. I can't stress that enough. And I know a lot of people have difficulty with that. We're working on meta tags today, but if you're having difficulty with any specific problem, get in touch with me and let's set up a meeting so we can go through some things. Already getting hoarse. Okay. Why, and we went through why and what they are. So you don't have to go through a course of trying to figure out what the SEO or what the meta tag is for, other than it's going to help identify everything on your page so that Google knows how to rank you, it knows how to get you in the right category, connect you with the right searches, that sort of thing. So to begin with, is there anybody here who's having trouble with their meta tags, trying to figure out either where to find them or what to put in there or that sort of thing? Any hands? Reaction buttons? So everybody knows what's going on with their meta tags? They know how to use them? Barbara, you got a question? Oh, sorry, I guess I need to unmute you, don't I? There you go.
So, in meta tags, is there a limit to the words or characters that are appropriate that Google likes? And I mean, I've read a variety of things, and even in my website, it has a range, but then it says you should actually use this because
That sounds like a Yoast plugin, but I know you're not using Yoast. But that's what happens when you have software that's installed in your site to do some or all of the SEO for you. Sometimes you fight it because you're going, no, I know that is a good term, or I know that I have the proper number of words in there. So when you come up with something that's saying maybe you should do it this way, you really do want to know, are they right or are you right? And in your circumstance, you know what your keyword terms should be. So if something is suggesting for you to do it differently, that's a time to kind of step back and look at it and go, why isn't it seeing this meta tag with information that's in it as correct? Why is it giving me a different suggestion? Does that make sense?
Yes, and just so that I'm clear on what I'm talking about,
okay,
as opposed to maybe what you're talking about, because I'm not specifically talking about keywords. I'm talking about I'm talking about the meta title.
Okay.
Meta title, yeah. I'm not on my site, so I mean, the way I've approached it is I know how it shows up in a search.
Mm-hmm.
And when I have a meta title in there that literally the whole title shows up, or the meta description, meta description.
Yeah, that's different than your title.
Right.
Your original part, you were asking if there is a certain limit. There are to the different meta tags, so each one is different. In the title, they look for a certain number. And depending on where you look, going, well, how many am I supposed to have? You're going to get a bunch of variations.
Right.
I would suggest that you go to ranks.nl, and I think you're going to get a better count and a better suggestion there than you would going all over the map. I'm trying to think of any place other than that. Maybe Arthur has a suggestion, because I know that you want to have your keyword term in there and you don't want it to be too short. In other words, if you've got like 2 words in a title, that's not going to be enough. They're looking for more. It also does not mean that you want the entire description, like from your meta description tag, in that title. So
my meta description is always different than my meta title.
Right.
But
I would
they
just
share a keyword or two.
Yeah.
They share some things.
Right.
But with the description, what I've actually done is when I found a description, like when I do a search, when I pop up and the description encompasses the whole description that I put in, I kind of use that as the basis for the number of characters in the description. Same thing with the title. When I get a title to show up the way I want it to, I kind of have used that as a basis for the number of.
You're taking the term literally, which is good. SEO is an experiment. And you're doing exactly right. You're going, well, this should work because of what I know so far. And you're seeing that, yeah, that works. So the suggestion was just merely a suggestion, which means that you can literally do a lot better than some of the things or places or people who say, well, I suggest that you do blah, blah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's like to kind of, go back to Arthur last week when he had pulled up a search on one of my collections,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually said, I think, Emily Lovelock dresses,
Mm-hmm.
or Emily Lovelock collection, and then
Right.
It had Amazon Pay. Actually, at the end of that, I have Get Dressed Collective, but it obviously isn't important. That wasn't showing up, which
Right.
means the title was a little bit too long, but it actually doesn't matter because Amazon Pay is more important than little old me.
Well, that's true. I mean, your title is, you're going to have a restriction as far as how many characters or words that you can
Right.
have in there, just like you will in the description. And there's a generic, I mean, pretty much anywhere you go, it says, well, you should have this much. So get close to that. You just don't want to stuff it with keywords, whether it's the title or the description or any of those meta tags, any of those tags.
Generally, the title is allowed like 64 characters, I think it is.
Yeah.
Description is 160.
Right.
So you take those and you'd be able to get close enough is really what you're trying to do. Again, that's part of the experiment. So it's not a matter of you have to be exactly 64 characters, but you should be in that range. You just don't want to go into 100 either.
Right. And you don't want to get cut off in the middle of a word or
Yes.
a middle of a thought.
Well, you hit it.
Impossible.
You hit the nail on the head, because if you have a title that is cutting off part of something that's important, then go back and retitle that thing so you don't chop off something that you need. The name of your site, usually, don't worry about that. A lot of people think about branding when they're trying to do meta tags or title or description or even the text on the page. Don't worry so much about branding, because the branding comes more from when the people are coming to your site. They don't know you, so they don't know your brand. If you come up in a search, then you have the name of your business all over your website. So your brand has been embedded into their head if they like your site. If they don't, then they leave, and you can brand all you want, but it didn't do any good.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no. Peter, you have a question. Oops, you switched on me. There you go. You should be able to unmute yourself now, Peter.
There we go. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. What I'd like to do is wondering if you could show by putting it up on the screen what you think is an ideal or a very good meta tag in terms of what it should look like. So, I mean, I don't care what the topic is. I more want to see the form that you use in terms of doing it. I don't use Yoast or anything like that, and I have a website that has about 66 pages.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure, and I work with emerging technologies, and each page has a different technology on it. So I wanted to kind of be able to figure out, am I supposed to put in a sentence? Am I supposed to put in individual words? Does the word technology, which is all over the place, is that a useless word? And that's the type of thing I'd like to be able to see. As to what is effective in terms of, is it a phrase or is it separate words?
Well, you got a lot into that particular thing, but the biggest, what platform you're using?
Basically, I'm on GoDaddy and what I have, and I have a whole cPanel. It was the site was built by a web designer, so I'm not on any platform other than the fact it works off HTML, CSS for the most part. It has a PHP component too.
Can we take a look at your site?
Sure, it's easy. You can go to, well, sure. Do you want me to go to it and share my screen? Or do you want to just put it in and go take a look at it?
If you can post the URL in the chat, then we can,
Sure, I can do that
take
for
it
you.
there.
Peter, is it a WordPress website?
No, it's not, unfortunately. So if you put that in, and you will then get to be able to see what I deal with.
And that's going to be a lot easier than going to somebody else's site and trying to decipher or try to mimic what they've got. Okay, so here we have and let's see. We're going to go.
Yeah, that's it. And every one of those tags at the top, there's a technology associated with. Sometimes they're on 2 pages because they actually fall in 2 categories.
Okay, so now I'm going to take a look.
I don't see his link in the chat.
It's the last one down there in the chat, the SCIFNFIN.net.
Yeah, science and financial.
I don't see it.
Oh, it's not. You know why? Because I just sent it directly to Tom.
Oh.
So
Okay.
There you go.
there you go.
Let's see if I can. Did you get that into chat?
I can put it in. And
Oh, I got it.
I guess. Okay,
There you go, Arthur.
all right.
Okay, so I'm looking at the code here, trying to get an idea of what you're looking at. Google, bear with me, folks. And of course, Bonnie, this is exactly what you were asking to do earlier. You're still with us. Interesting enough, I don't see got a description.
I see the description, but
Yeah.
I don't see a title.
Yep, that's what I was thinking too. Description and anything else. Peter, do you see what I have highlighted here?
Yep.
Okay, the description tag needs to be a description of what is on this particular page, not the
Okay.
entire site, not a welcome message, but they are looking for what is on the page. Now, don't just put in specific words either. The description should be a conversational sentence, not too long, that does include your keyword phrase, the most important keyword phrase on the page.
All right. Which is technology transfer, obviously, or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so have you done any research on your keyword tags?
Yeah, not really yet. I'm kind of just trying to get my head around what it is I need to be able to do and what I'm looking for in a sense for this. Because I had a lot of web designers design these things for me, but now I'm kind of, as it's grown, I'm kind of taking care of everything. So that there is what this basically is described as my site, a rich media site for acceleration of innovation. That is exactly what it is.
Now, I'm going to jump out on a limb here, and you correct me if I'm wrong. But you sound like somebody who is very much into science in a particular field, which means
what basically my thing is that I have a background in media, but I also have a background in science. So I can talk to scientists and basically explain the value proposition of their technologies to people who may be investors who don't have the science background, but to be able to explain them to what problem this science overcomes and why it's a good technology.
Okay.
I'm like a translator.
I'm going to hold right there for just a minute. And I'm going to see how much of what you just told me about this website is right here on this page. Again, I don't see anything that you just got through saying. And I think that what you said was a good synopsis of what your site is. Do you see the difference between what you said and the text that appears on the page?
Yes, I hear what you're saying.
It's not really telling people, this is what you're going to get. Here's what I can do for you.
Okay, I hear you. That sounds very true, Tom. Thank you.
And that's what you want to have on the site. This title that you have is, again, don't really care about the name of the site. Don't worry about trying to brand it in the title. You want to make sure that you get, this might be true, a rich media site, but that, again, doesn't tell the people who are searching. If they do come across yours in the search engine, it doesn't tell them what they're looking for.
Okay.
Always start, no matter whether you've had your site up for a long time and you've got all these tags done, you've got your text done, it doesn't make any difference. The first place to go with every website is to research your keyword terms. The reason that is so important is because you first need to know, is anybody searching the terms you think you should
Okay.
use.
Interesting.
And if they're not searching the words you think that they should use, then you've got to wipe out your own brain. And that's why I started that conversation about you sound smart. That's what I'm trying to say. And sometimes you have to dumb down your thought process to go, what do the masses search for what I do?
Right.
And that's
Interesting.
exactly what you're trying to do. All the meta tag information, all the text is trying to provide information to the user, to the visitor, to the person searching in the search engines, that you have what they're looking for. So if they see Sci-Fin, a rich media site, they're going, yeah, but that's not what I searched.
I hear what you're saying. That's very good, Tom. That really helps. I'd like to do one other thing because that is the overview. Now, if you go, for example, up to electronics and click on one of the electronics and navigation thing and go just over there under electronics, you'll see medical nano. Just click on that. Now you get all these pages. These are all the various technologies that I've worked on in love. Yeah. You click on any one of those with the red type, click on any one of those you want. Right, so what you get then is you get this. So what I'm trying to figure out is, what do I put in here for an individual? Every one of these is different. Is what should be in the meta tags for this page? This is designed as a medical device to help people who have been basically trapped in a place that's hard to reach, and you can, using remote control, send this out and be able to get an injured person back to a hospital.
That's very important for somebody to know. So that title doesn't do you justice. Now, maybe a surgeon or scientist or somebody would know, yes, that's exactly what I need. But let's just say you're in that emergency situation.
Right.
And somebody's trying to get a hold of a business that does this, that works with these. Well, are they using a Hawk? Are they looking for a Hawk? Remote control supply and rescue. Again, that's going back to the exact same thing we were talking about. Research your keyword terms because you need to tell somebody what is on this page. Yes, technically it's a remote control Hawk, but let's dumb that down for the masses. What are they trying to do? You have a remote control transport device. Now you can start there and see if that has a lot of searches, but that's the whole process. What do people search to find your product? And because you have a lot of products, you're going to do a lot of research on keyword terms. Each page is different. Each page will have a different title.
Now, the question I'm going to ask was, you showed me the title. What about the other meta content? What goes in the content? In other words, you named over here at the very top when it says doc type, and it says HTML, then it says head meta, all that stuff. What goes in that area above it? Like, this content with device, what was that all mean? I have no idea.
These two things are created by your platform. Whatever platform that you're using is going to input that. And this description should also be something that the platform puts in there, but you need to fill the blanks.
Okay, that's what I haven't done. So I've got to fill that line in there with words that say things like emergency services or something like that, or something that goes in there. Is that right?
The content on this particular page would be highly relevant to this particular page. If it has some relationship to other pages, that's irrelevant. You want the highly relevant keyword term on this page in that content and in the title.
Okay. All right. That's been very helpful. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to go through that.
You're welcome.
He doesn't have a robot text file set up either. So be sure you tell your developers that they need to set up a robot text file.
What is a robot text file?
It basically tells Google where your sitemap is, and it keeps other bots from crawling your website.
Okay. Okay.
And you also have no canonical tag.
What does that mean?
That is just, the canonical tag is what is used to basically name your site.
Okay, where would I put that, or where would that go?
Well, that should be automatic. I mean, I don't understand why, you know, I'm
Okay.
looking at a report here and it just says it's not there.
Yeah, I fancy that.
Well,
All right.
it depends. Since you're not using WordPress, and I never did find what you are using. Is this done?
It was built line by line by.
Okay, so
web
it's
design.
hand built. Okay, you
Yeah.
want whoever built that for you to also put in there a space for the canonical tag.
Okay,
And the reason that you want that is because Google comes in, and if you've got a site that is dynamic, which most of them are today, that means that technically it serves two pages, because you can get to it by going to www, whatever my domain is,
okay.
or just mydomain.com or whatever it is, without the www. So if you can get there both ways, then
Okay.
Google says pick one.
Okay.
Whichever one you pick, that's called the canonical.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then you need to make sure that your whole system uses only that domain.
Okay. All right. Well, that's very, very helpful. I appreciate Thomas. And if I have more questions, sorry.
If you don't have a canonical, the page is not gonna get indexed
Yeah.
in the search.
Okay. All right. I will then. I'll have to deal with that. Maybe Tom, I'll reach out to you after this some point
Okay.
to see about getting that taken care of or whatever, because you know, it sounds like it's something that can be done without having to drag my guy back in again.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
That's
Welcome.
helped me immensely.
Okay, we have a couple other hands up here. Barbie, go ahead, Barbie.
There we go. I'm unmuted. Yeah, I just appreciate the information that you gave to me last time with my websites. I'm on first page of Google of all my websites, and you had mentioned also about doing video was the only thing that I needed. And so now I'm in the process of doing videos, and I'm going to upload it to YouTube. And I'm going to do more educational videos based on, I'm a counselor as well as an insurance broker. So I'm going to do videos, informational videos. And you had recommended, you know, doing videos for my website, but I'm expanding it more to social media as well. Anyway, thank you.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Bonnie, you had your hand up. Try it again. You need to unmute. There you go.
Is there a difference between a meta tag and not using a meta tag, but putting in the keywords without this meta tag?
Where are you going to put them?
Well, that's what I was looking on his, the person we just looked at, his source code, and some had meta tag and some did not. But it was also keywords. You have to have a meta tag to put in a keyword.
Well, you're mixing things. I'm not sure where you're going. He does not have a list here of his keywords. Where did you see them?
Let me see. Under,
Now, there was another, this was his home page.
I guess it's only a meta name.
Right.
I guess you answered the
There
question.
are a lot of meta things, meta tags, but there's only roughly 3, including the title tag, that you'd be interested in, which is title, meta description, and meta keywords. There's a huge argument we won't get into today, but if you put them in your page, that's good. So the other stuff is usually done by, and your meta description is you put your own content in there. Everything, all the other metas are done by the system. So if the system is created well, and he looks like he's had somebody that knew what they were doing create this site, then it's going to come up correctly. Does that answer your question, Bonnie? Okay. Any other questions on that part so far?
I still have another question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
What is Conacle?
Canonical.
Canonical, yeah, what is?
Yes, canonical. For the sake of argument, the easiest way to describe it is you can get to the website using a URL, and you can either use the www before the domain name or not. You can get there either way, but Google wants you to pick one. And so they've said the one you pick is considered a canonical.
Okay.
Now you could get into the description about that and everything, but all you care about is which way do you want to show Google to get into your site. If you don't announce it with the canonical, if you don't make sure that you specify that you want them coming from www or you want them coming without the www, pick one. That's the canonical, because if you don't do that, then Google says, well, you're serving 2 pages. I'm not going to list you at all.
And generally, the canonical is the title of the page. And you can only have one.
And you see you making notes. Does that make sense, Bonnie?
Yeah.
So it's when you're look at the domain, I guess I can't do it with him because he didn't have a canonical, but when you have the canonical, if you look in the source, depending on what page you're on, you see the domain name .com or .net, whatever it is, / then the title of the page. So that should be coming up dynamically, and all you should have to do is put in the canonical for the home page, and then that's used through the other pages. You're not in WordPress, are you, Bonnie?
Web developer, I can't do it. I am in WordPress.
You are in WordPress. Okay, well, in WordPress, you should be able to have your either your Yoast or something similar that allows you to put in the canonical. I don't think that, Arthur, there's not a default in WordPress for a canonical, is there? You have to add a plugin or use Yoast or something. He's busy, but yes, I know, I'm pretty sure that that's true. There isn't a canonical by default in most platforms, put it that way. Like in Joomla, I install a plugin just to allow me to put in a canonical. In WordPress, you do the same. I believe that Yoast allows you to add the canonical. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, you can set the canonical with Yoast. You can
Okay.
set the canonical with pretty much any SEO plugin.
There you go.
You
Okay.
go to Yoast, you go down to where it says advanced. You'll see the setting for the canonical, but in order to get access to that, you have to have the premium version. You generally, by default, WordPress will do the canonical. But sometimes, as Tom was saying, you will get mixed content errors. And that has to do with the www dot. You have to pick one of the canonical.
So, any other questions? I see that there's some info going on in the chat. Okay. Google does a weekly AMA with their tech team. It's very helpful to hear from Google
Quick
itself.
content area you can also get with the protocol too. You have HTTP on some of your images or pages instead of HTTPS. Then you'll get a mixed content error with that also. So don't get too confused.
I hope everybody understood that part. Might go back. Is there anybody that just heard something and are not quite clear on what that was regarding the HTTPS or no S? Does everybody understand what the difference is? No questions?
A lot of they can unmute themselves, but a lot of the confusion is because back when WordPress first came out, I've been working with this 1.0 since 2003. Everything was HTTP. So when everything transferred, I think it was 2009, I think, when the protocol became secure, it was required. You have a lot of websites that still load the HTTP, plus there's still URIs that are running HTTP.
Okay, so I want to make sure that everybody is clear on what you can or cannot do and what you need. Anybody with hands or use the reaction button still have questions about how to use that meta tag. Used improperly, your pages at worst will get shoved back 100 pages, but they would at least just not be indexed, which that's probably even worse, but it's up to you. You have to have those meta tags, and there is the keywords meta tag is a huge argument, if you will, because you'll hear one side that says you can't use it, the other side says yes, you can use it and you should use it. So we should probably see if there are any questions. Anybody have any questions on the meta tag for keyword terms? Any questions there?
With WordPress, there's a plugin, Meta Tag Manager, that you can install that will help you with your meta tag.
That sounds like it's easier than Yoast even. Just provides the spaces that you can fill in for the different pages, right?
Yeah, you can do your meta keywords, you can do description. I mean, it's pretty much, kind of the same thing what that the old plugin does, but with this plugin, you can name your own meta tag. So if you want a specific meta tag, you can add it to your website through the plugin, rather than having to go mess with all the code and all that. What is the name? You just type in meta tag plugin. I don't remember what the name of it is. I can find out real quick though. I deal with so many plugins, I can't remember exact names of all of them.
Meta tag manager.
I think that's what it is. Yep, Meta Tag Manager, that's it.
Okay. So let's do this then.
And that'll save a lot of confusion, but I'm not sure how compatible it is with some SEO plugins.
Sure.
If it's not compatible, you'll get a warning.
For Helena and anybody else interested in having that, there you now have a link to get the WordPress meta tag manager. Oh, quiet today. Now I know everybody's got some questions on something related. So anybody, if you've got a question, put your hand up, or the reaction button that shows your hand up.
It doesn't necessarily have to be about meta tags. It gets When you start talking about meta tags and, you know,
That's a very good question, Irene. Can you use both Yoast and the MetaTag Manager? In my mind, I don't see why not. I have not used the both of them together.
I don't think.
I don't
it
know.
does.
I can't imagine why they would, because one is just for the meta tags. Yoast is for pretty much everything.
Yeah, I mean, and if there is any kind of conflict, you'll get a warning. I
Right.
mean, Yoast will pop up something, and sometimes Yoast will pop up warnings that don't necessarily mean they're critical. They just don't want you using it. A lot of plugins are like that, you know. Especially if you're dealing with anything made by Automatic, which is WooCommerce and the other one, WordFence, and those. Yeah, they simply put up warnings just because they don't want you to use certain things,
Yeah.
but they're not necessarily, you know, true.
So, back to the meta tag information. How about anybody have questions about how to input the information or from where they would get the information? Anybody? Everybody seems like you all have meta tags down.
Nobody can unmute their mic.
Well, that's true, but you could raise your hand and you speak until the cows come home. Once you get unmuted, just a raise hand is all we need. No
I don't even
questions.
see, where's the optional reaction?
In the reactions, yeah.
Right?
You click the reaction. Trust me, they all know Zoom better than we do. Hit that reaction button and you can give me a thumbs up, or you can send me a heart or raise your hand, whichever you like. Any questions? Wow, I am surprised there's no questions. Did we cover it that well? Thank you, Helena. To make a page green includes meta tags, or is it a different animal? Well, let me try to think of that. Is any
What
part?
Yoast does, Yoast, it gives you suggestions,
Mm-hmm.
and don't drive yourself crazy trying to make everything green. Because, you know, if you can, that's great. But, you know, if you get close, that's all that's for. I mean, it doesn't have to be all green and exactly perfect. Okay, yes, well, it depends. If you're using WordPress .org, then yes, you're going to have to pay for hosting.
Okay, Vic, you have a question. Go ahead. I guess now you can unmute. There you are.
Hello, everybody.
Hi there.
I wanted to find out, how do we do the meta tags if we have Squarespace?
I'm going to defer that to Arthur. You've done a lot of stuff over there in Squarespace.
And Squarespace, they have it. If you go to their marketing tab, and under there, they'll have a place for your keyword and meta description there.
Okay,
That was too simple.
I will look for it then.
That was too simple. There, you're on your
It
way.
always is.
They put it in why they put it under marketing, I don't know.
Okay.
But they do. Or last I knew, I mean, they may have changed things, I don't know.
Okay, sounds
It's there.
Thank
I
you.
will look for it then. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Robin, you have a question. And as soon as I unmute you, you can talk. There you go.
Hi.
Hi there.
Actually, I have a question on a previous topic that you covered, which was how to rename your pictures, your photographs that you put up.
Mhm.
So I missed that session. How would I, a lot of my photographs on the website are just numbers because they were not saved as named pictures. How do I? And they're already on the website now.
They are named an image, a number instead of
Yeah,
what.
correct.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Well, are you in WordPress?
No, I'm on Shopify.
Shopify? I know in WordPress you can change the name in the library, but I'm not clear on Shopify.
So would I have to?
Pardon?
So would I have to re-upload the pictures? Is that it? Rename and then re-upload pictures?
Hang on a second, let me
Well-
check something here.
While he's looking at that, that's where I would immediately go. But if Shopify does have some method where you can rename the images, that's ultimately what you're looking for.
Right.
What the heck? Only in Washington. It was sunny in 76, 78 here 10 minutes ago. It's raining now.
Yeah.
Good old Washington sunshine. Oh, that's making it muggy. Oh, now I feel like I'm living in Florida like Arthur.
Here is a, I'm gonna put it in the chat here. Shopify has a forum community
Yeah.
and there's the link there I put in the chat there, renaming the uploaded image file.
Okay. Yeah.
How many images do you have, Robin?
Probably around
10, 20, 30?
No. Between 150 to 200.
Oh, well then, yeah, you're probably going to need this bulk image edit.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna read this. Thank you so much.
I mean, the only other option, how many can you upload at one time?
Upload. I haven't tried a bulk upload. I do it product by product because it's the site is a consumer website.
Okay, I'm gonna put another link in the chat for you here.
That option seems. It's not easy once you get those images up on some platforms.
That second link pretty much tells you where you can save them.
You must be on the same page I am right now.
It's under image tools and more. You can rename the titles right there.
Okay.
And when you rename it, you don't have to have the .jpeg in the name. You can just name them what what you want.
Okay. Got it. All right. I'll read through this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I ran into the same thing, but that one is better to show you how to get there. Okay, we answered lots of questions for those. So how'd we do? Who's got some more questions? We got just about 10 minutes left to go. We're doing really well. I like this. Robin, you're more than welcome. Meta tags, you know where to put the information, how to put the information in. Maybe you have a platform that's not WordPress. If so, let us know. See if we can help you figure out the meta tags for your platform. You're all using WordPress and you're all experts now. Wow.
But we'll get onto something else and we'll come back and ask about that.
Well, I thought we were doing that with the images. It didn't promote any questions. Prompt you. Any other questions, anybody? About questions unrelated to
If
meta.
anyone's trying to raise their hand, it's down under reaction.
and my website not have hosting and still be successful? Oh, Kay, do you have a microphone? I'll unmute you.
Here.
Kay, if you have your website just sitting on your computer, nobody can get to it. It's impossible. It's not possible to share your website if it's only on your computer. Does that make
Even
sense?
though I have a domain and everything?
If you have a domain name, where's the domain name hosted? If it's not hosted, nobody can get to it. Does that make sense? You register a domain, then you host it. Then you build the site inside of your hosting company, or if you've already got it built, then you transfer it to that hosting platform. But until it's hosted, the internet can't get to the website.
I'm building the website inside of WordPress.
Okay. And where are you
For
building it?
Inside of WordPress.
Where are you building the WordPress site?
Inside of WordPress. I don't understand.
WordPress is what you're building. Where are you building that WordPress? Is it on your computer? Do you go someplace? Do you log into something and then work on WordPress?
Yeah. Right.
You kind of broke up, but wasn't sure.
Oh, yeah, on my computer.
Okay. And how do you get to the WordPress site that you're working on?
I log into my internet and just type in WordPress and put in my information and.
Okay, so I think I can
Do you
back
have-
up.
Do you have a login link?
WordPress.com.
Huh?
Are you in WordPress.com working on your WordPress site?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a different story. It's hosted.
Already hosted, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's already hosted.
Yes. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to go somewhere using a URL and log in somewhere.
Okay.
That's when you know it's hosted.
WordPress.com and WordPress.org something different?
Yes. One allows you to host with them, although they are very restrictive about what you can do unless you pay. The other is basically information about WordPress and where you can download WordPress, that sort of thing. Does that make sense, Kay? You muted yourself. Okay. I guess maybe she was done. Barbie, you have your hand raised? You're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Denise had her hand raised. Did she happen to get her question answered?
No, I did not see her hand up.
Oh, okay.
Denise, you got your hand raised, Denise? Unmute, you should be able to unmute yourself now. Oh, you got it answered? Oh, okay. There you are. Okay, so Kay just got cut off with her phone was all. Any other questions? Somewhat related? Not related? Questions about the rain in your backyard?
Michael was asking how much a good SEO company would cost. You know, and I typed in there, it could range from either 400 to over 40,000 a month. It just depends on what services you want, because there's many aspects of SEO when it comes to agencies. You know, you have keywords, pay-per-click, you have social media, digital marketing. I mean, there's a number of things. But the bare minimum, I've seen priced at $3.99 a month. but you're not gonna get much for that $3.99 a month.
You'll be paying,
Usually,
you'll be paying a lot.
usually I would say between 800 and 1,000 a month.
Michael, if you've got a mic, I can unmute you.
Yeah, I was just curious, as a small e-commerce type operation, you know, I have to see ROI, and SEO seems to be a 6 to 12 month.
Michael, you brought up a really good point.
Trying to understand the cost versus benefit.
Yes.
And then who is capable of doing it, because I talked to people who, you know, just, I think I know more than them. I'm just scared, I'm paying someone else to do the work.
The fact
I had to learn
that
this
you're
on-
asking,
I don't think Rob.
the fact that you're asking about ROI and the question, the way that you asked it already tells me you probably do have it over most developers. So coming to these meetings is going to provide information, and looking at the old videos that we've got.
Oh yeah, I learned a lot. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with your market too. I mean, if you got a market to where you're selling an industrial product that is not commonly searched, you know, on an e-commerce site, you're gonna have a hard time selling it. You know, so when you start an e-commerce site, you need to pick and choose wisely of what you're wanting to sell. You know, I run across it all the time. You know, people, they want to pay for SEO for a certain product line or a certain product that is not being searched for and serviced. And any agency is going to take it. They want your money. But, you know,
Yep.
But, you know, and like, you know, Michael, like you said, you know your business, you know your market.
Mm-hmm. I would also suggest, Michael, that you just do your research on the keywords for each individual page, so you know what people are searching for your products. Once you have that, you're hands down over a lot of the developers that are going to come along and try to sell you something.
I have that info.
Yeah, so if you've done your research, you know what keywords to use, then you write that content as if you're talking to somebody, make it very conversational, and make sure that it's highly relevant to the keyword terms on that page. Kay asked another question about who do you recommend to go through for hosting? Kay, we've got two companies that we recommend: Green Geek and A2 Hosting. Now, beyond that, you know, you're on your own. You can pick whoever you want, but I won't recommend any of the other companies. Just those two.
You could try Liquid Web, but they're very expensive. You know, Liquid Web is for, like, you know, top of line type of security type websites that need that kind of security, like doctors and, you know, medical. But like, you know, Thomas and I, you know, any hosting that you get, you want to make sure that they have light speed servers.
The only time that I would look for a hosting company outside of either A2 or Green Geeks is if you're working for a client that's got a bank, or like Arthur was saying, it's a doctor's office. They have to have very special security. So they host with companies that know how to build and create that kind of security.
You should also do cloud hosting. You know, I mean, that becomes a little bit more technical. You know, when you start getting involved with that, I mean, you got to know a little bit about coding. And some of them, I'm not saying all of them, some of them you don't. But the next thing that, in my opinion, the next best thing for light speed would be cloud hosting.
Well, it looks like we've come to our bewitching hour. Do you not care where the host is located due to using a CDN? I try to find hosting in Vancouver.
Oh yeah, that's very important. That's just as important. If you use a CDN, I mean, just because you use the TDM does not everything. You know, I mean, if you're hosting on GoDaddy and use the TDM,
Sorry.
chances are you can improve it, but you're still on GoDaddy.
Green Geeks and A2, they may have offices up there in Vancouver, but I'm using the one in Chicago for A2. The servers in Chicago.
You know, you should be able to host in the US. I don't see why you wouldn't be.
Yeah, you can host anywhere. Kyle, if you've got a specific product that you need to be in Vancouver hosting for some reason, then that's something that you would know. But I can't think of any reason outside of some very specific parameters. Most people just don't have those kinds of parameters, so you can host anywhere. Any other questions? And we'll sign off for the day. We did very well. Look at that. We're keeping to our time schedule.
That's a first.
I know. A second. We did it last week too.
Yeah.
Helena, you're very welcome. Thank you all for joining us today. And I hope you learned some. And we'll have the video ready for you as soon as possible. I'll hit the stop recording after I sign off and say, see ya. Bye, Bonnie. Hope your head gets better. Still a couple of people. I'm wondering if they were still there. Bye, everybody. Bye, Kay, Christopher, Alexandra.